Imagine this, you disappear, not dramatically, not with shouting, you simply leave. Quietly, no justifications, no explanations, you just stop. Stop responding, stop chasing, stop trying to fix what was never your responsibility, and suddenly the world that grew used to your presence, to your automatic yes, to your constant availability, begins to unravel. But why? Carl Jung once said that we are mirrors to one another, and when one mirror disappears, the other sees itself undistorted for the very first time. And what it sees isn't always beautiful. Often it's emptiness, neediness disguised as love, control masked as care. The truth is, when you walk away, you're not just leaving a relationship, a space, or a bond. You're breaking the cycle of projection. And in that moment, something deep begins. The other is forced to confront themselves, and not everyone is ready for that. Walking away isn't cowardice, it's consciousness. More than that, it's a silent invitation for the other to awaken too. Today, we're diving into this profound process. Not what happens to you when you walk away, but what happens to those left behind. Through the lens of Carl Jung's philosophy, we'll explore what your absence reveals, disrupts, and transforms, because sometimes it's not the noise that shakes the world, sometimes it's the silence. This is a video about you, but it's also about everyone who tried to control you through your presence. Now, it's time to understand what really happens. When you leave, from a young age, you were taught that being available meant being kind, that always replying, always smiling, always listening meant being a good person, that giving up your time, energy, and peace was the price of being accepted. But that idea, being disguised as virtue, is a golden prison. Carl Jung warned us about the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted by society. It's necessary, yes, but dangerous when mistaken for who we truly are. And that's exactly what happens when you become too accessible. You stop being you and become a reflection of what others need. Constant availability creates predictability, and sadly, predictability leads to devaluation. When you're always ready, always there, always giving in, people stop seeing you as someone with limits, desires, and depth. You become a resource, an emotional tool. So ask yourself, what has your constant accessibility brought you in return? Peace? Respect? Freedom? Or just more obligations, more demands, less space to be who you truly are? Excessive availability is an open invitation to manipulation. People who learn to read your reactions, your fears, your need for approval, soon learn how to control you. Not necessarily out of malice, but because that's human nature when met with something easily shaped. Being less accessible doesn't make you cold, it makes you whole. It means choosing when, how, and with whom to open yourself. It's emotional sovereignty, and most importantly, it's remembering that your true value isn't in being constantly available, but in knowing when to step away. When you disappear, the other is left with an uncomfortable silence. It's not just the absence of your voice or your physical presence, it's the absence of the reflection you provided. Jung teaches us we project onto others what we refuse to see in ourselves, and as long as you were there, as a support, an escape valve, even a scapegoat, the other didn't need to look inward. But when you step away, the mirror shatters. What's left is the raw image of who they really are. The first reaction is usually denial. They're overreacting. It was just a misunderstanding. But as time passes and you don't return, denial turns to discomfort. Discomfort turns to anger. because your absence unmasks the imbalance. Some
will blame you, others will try to diminish you, but the truth is they're reacting to the pain of facing what they tried to avoid feeling. Your presence was a disguise, your absence a revelation, and here
you realize something powerful. You were not the problem, but you were never the solution either. You were simply the mirror. And when the mirror disappears, what remains is the true face of the other. This is the turning point, because those who are ready will use that pain to grow, but those who aren't will keep blaming you. Either way, your departure became a catalyst, a crossroads, a silent act of healing for both sides. When you leave, the other is forced to feel what they've been avoiding, the weight of their own emptiness. Jung said that everything we repress, our pain, our fears, our insecurities, forms the shadow, and many people would rather have someone else carry that shadow for them. Someone who is always there, ready to listen, to absorb, to understand, and that someone was often you. By stepping away, you return to the other what was never yours to carry. And that return, it hurts. It hurts because they don't know what to do with what you used to hold. It hurts because now they're left with the echo of their own soul, with the discomfort of having no one else to blame. That's when the most visceral reactions surface. People who once seemed calm become hostile. Those who appeared independent reveal deep emotional dependence. Because your absence isn't just absence, it's revelation. You become a broken mirror, impossible to manipulate. And that disturbs them. As long as you were there, the illusion could be maintained. Now that you've withdrawn, the game is over, and reality begins. Some will try to win you back, not out of love, but out of need. Others will try to tarnish your image to justify their pain. But deep down, they're all just trying to deal with the void you left. Not because you were everything, but because you were the shield. Your withdrawal breaks the cycle, interrupts the repetition, opens
a space, and that space is unbearable.
For those who've never learned to face their own reflection, but in that same space lives the possibility of transformation, for them and for you. There's a nearly invisible power in silence, and paradoxically, it speaks louder than any explanation. When you choose not to respond, not to justify, not to explain, you're saying something most people aren't ready to hear. I'm no longer available for this game. Carl Jung believed that the path to becoming whole, individuation, requires integrating the shadow and breaking free from social masks. When you walk away in silence, you're telling the world that you will no longer accept relationships based on convenience, manipulation, or emotional dependency. You're not running away, you're choosing. You're declaring that your time, your energy, your peace have value, and they will no longer be wasted in places that can't recognize your depth. A silent departure is both a statement and an invitation. A statement of emotional independence, an invitation for the other to reflect on what was real and what was just projection. Silence disarms those who used to provoke you just to get a reaction, now find themselves talking to the void. Those who once manipulated you with guilt now face emptiness. Those who relied on your response are now met with your absence and are left to face what hides behind it. You don't need to raise your voice to assert boundaries. Sometimes, all you need is to step back, calmly, with integrity, and watch what remains. Walking away is often the beginning of a return.
not to others, but to yourself. While you were there, always available, always present, you may have lost parts of yourself. You adjusted your words, your gestures, your silences. You reshaped your presence to fit into spaces far too small for your soul. And with each compromise, you drifted further from who you really are. Carl Jung said individuation is painful because it demands separation from all that we are not. And sometimes that includes people, places, and stories. By walking away, you create space. Space that was once filled with others' expectations. And in that empty, fertile space, your reconnection begins. You start to remember what you love, what moves you, what you believe in. You begin to hear your own voice without the noise of needing to please. You discover that solitude, when embraced, isn't absence, it's presence, your presence. And from that quiet, something powerful is born: authenticity, the freedom to be without asking permission, to feel without fearing discomfort, to exist without needing to explain. By leaving, you stop trying to fit in and start fully inhabiting the place that was always yours, the center of your own life. And so you left. Silently. No announcement, no audience, no promises of return. And what was left behind for those who remained wasn't just longing, it was an empty mirror, a presence that still echoes, even in absence. Carl Jung said that healing doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from facing it with courage. And your absence, paradoxically, becomes a healing force because it forces others to confront everything that was being covered up by your presence. You didn't save anyone by staying, and you didn't hurt anyone by leaving. What your absence brings out in others is only the truth of what was already there. Neediness, attachment, dependency, pride. And that's why your departure holds so much power. It reveals what was hidden. Your absence heals because it breaks the cycle. It demands silence. It demands reflection. It demands maturity. And those brave enough will use the emptiness as a mirror. Not a prison, but the healing isn't just theirs, it's yours too. Because by stepping away, you shed guilt that wasn't yours. You release expectations that didn't belong to you. You let go of narratives that were never true. You return to your essence. You grow stronger in your silence. You remember your worth. And here's the most important truth. You don't need to return to be whole. You don't need to explain to be understood. You don't need to be present to be felt. Your absence, when it comes from awareness, is a powerful message. I chose myself. And those who truly saw you will understand. Those who didn't, maybe never did. If this video spoke to you, if something inside you stirred during this journey, I invite you to leave your mark. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your reflections in the comments. And if you want to keep walking this path of reconnection with your true self,